Tass and head down to Houston, Texas for Super Bowl 51. We will be on Radio Row all week. Luke and I getting it done out there with the Patriots and the Falcons and all the local connections and involvements. And nothing bigger for the business of sports and the business of sports media and sports radio. And, of course, this is our 23rd year going to the Super Bowl. I got to pinch me to some degree. I thought I'd be lucky to ever cover one Super Bowl. But, 23 years into this, we'll be there all next week. But there's some other media stories percolating around sports conversation. Michael McCarthy covers all things sports, business, and media for the Sporting News up in New York, and we love having him on the program. Welcome him back. You can follow his journey at MMcCarthyREV out on Twitter. And, no bigger story really in the underside of the business of sports media than this sort of Fox Sports 1 ESPN thing that sort of came to a little bit of a bubble on Tuesday morning, didn't it, Mike?
It sure did. Fox Sports 1, led by former ESPNer Jamie Horowitz, has been jabbing, like most challengers do, at the big bear, ESPN. And traditionally, ESPN does not respond, but on Tuesday, they certainly responded with a video mocking FS1 and saying that they were constantly changing their targets on who they were going after, and basically saying that all of the things that FS1 is saying about its rating success are full of it.
Well, and so Fox Sports, look, I deal with this in Baltimore, right? I've owned a radio station for 25 years. I've got a corporate brand up the street that claims to have $1 million of this and $5 million of that. And yet when it comes to selling products, I've been doing that for 25 years. I make that point. There are lines much like in late night television, if you do Jay Leno, you can't do Letterman. Now we got the NFL Network involved in this and MLB. But Fox and ESPN, it really has been the people that were disenchanted at ESPN went to Fox. It hasn't worked out as well, and I see all the promos like you do and everyone else. I don't know what person with a brain would listen to Skip Bayless, but that's just me. I try to do intelligent conversation around here, but for ESPN to even snipe back at Fox, this really is about money, and I guess it's about the perception that ESPN is leaving televisions.
Yeah, maybe what's happening is ESPN has been getting a lot of bad news lately. Clearly they have lost subscribers, which may not be completely their fault. It might be just an effect of the marketplace.
Well, it's called cord cutting, right? It has its own industry word. Young people don't buy cable television. They watch on their mobile device. That's the way it works.
So you can't blame that on ESPN, but they have been losing talent to Jamie Horowitz and Fox Sports 1 that they tried to keep, such as Skip Bayless, such as Colin Cowherd. So maybe this is an attempt by ESPN to finally say, you know what, enough is enough. We're tired of taking punches. We're going to start to throw them.
Well, and it's fascinating because they're the big dog. Why would they bother with the Chihuahua to some degree? And especially for a bunch of disgruntled former employees at ESPN. But, there is some perception problem with ESPN, right? Chris Berman, it feels like he got shoved out the door. Am I right or am I wrong? And I know for some people his act is old. Dude, I've been watching Berman since, I waited on the bus in 1980 and 81 when this ESPN, the little red logo and, the first ever morning, backs and all that stuff. I'm not a hater of Berman, and I know inside the industry it's kind of cool to hate on him like he's Nickelback or Hootie and the Blowfish or something, but they don't have a natural guy to come into that, and it's amazing in this era of sports journalism that anybody lasted 35 years anywhere, quite frankly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm one of the few people in the sports media who's always openly been a Berman fan. One of my fondest memories as a sports TV viewer is watching him and Tom Jackson do highlights on their Sunday show.
I go back to the nicknames back in the 1980s. All the bye Balbonis and the million nicknames. He made sports fun, which is I think why people get on Twitter and social media now in the hopes that whoever their celebrity will be will at least show them a good time to some degree. I thought when Berman was doing sports, it was a party, and I think he will be sorely missed at that network.
Yeah, but to also your point, I think you make a great point. Those days are over.
They are.
Nobody's gets a pass anymore at ESPN. There's no respecting of, you had this show or you did this 10 years ago. Everybody has to prove themselves now for tomorrow. And that's why, things like the sports reporters are going away. Here's a show that's been on the air for 30 years. I don't know if you watched it, but
I watched it every. I mean, Dick Schaap, my God, that's my heart there. I mean, I used to get out of bed hungover on Sunday mornings 20 years ago, literally. That was the thing I had to watch every week. It was appointment viewing before DVRs, and I mean, I bet I videotaped it back in the day because this is what I do for a living. This is all I've ever done for a living is talk about sports. That was the most enlightened conversation. I mean, it was sort of meet the press for sports every Sunday morning, and to think that the intelligent conversations are going away. I need more Bob Lee. I need more Jeremy Schaap. I need more of that and less of Deion Sanders sitting on a couch being a fool after a football game for me.
Yeah, you're right. It was a great show for its day, and like a lot of sports writers, anybody who was a sports writer dreamed about one day sitting on that set and, discussing these issues in such a serious and an intelligent way. But, times change. Everything's changed at ESPN. The old shows are going away. Old talent is going away. Up-and-comers are going to get their shot. They've got a talent drain, even though they're going to deny it via FS1. So, I mean, everything's up for grabs right now.
Well, and fascinating enough, with the Super Bowl coming, this will be when the big push happens, right? And I find it fascinating that these networks, because look, I've been jabbering about sports here nonstop for 25 years, Mike, right? So, I've seen all the changes come and go through Masson here and home team sports and, Angelos and the way, my press pass. I've been in the middle of all of this. But the fascinating thing is how it used to be you needed to have deals and play-by-play and rights and all of that, even at the local level with radio and television. And now they all want to put two people on the air and have them fight about sports, right? Like the debate part of this has become where the money is, right? That sort of nonstop cacophony of outrage that has made Fox News money and MSNBC and CNN, that it looks a lot like political journalism now, and they're getting away from highlight packages, right?
You're absolutely right. I mean, on the one hand, these debate shows are not completely original. You could go back to Point Counterpoint and Crossfire and other news programs that had the exact same format. On the other hand, that is where the money is. That is where the attention is. That is where the headlines are. The people making the big money in sports now are not the big-time city columnists like a Mike Lupica. It's Skip Bayless. It's Stephen A. Smith. It's what Jimmy Horowitz at FS1 calls opinionists. These people who go out there every day and argue and debate the way we debate about sports in the bar or in the dorm room. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that is where the attention is. I don't know if it's good or bad at this point. I just know it's a big change.
Well, I know next week there's never a better place for debate than on the floor at Radio Row, where we'll have our own little convention. Michael McCarthy joining us here. You can follow him out on Twitter at McCarthyREV. He is a reporter and producer at Sporting News, covering mainly media and sports business, which is sort of a nonstop situation next week. Everyone wants to cash in on the Super Bowl, right? I mean, we'll see all the official NFL products. They got the Patriots, but they didn't get the Cowboys, right? Like, that was the one that slipped away. I don't think it's bad to have fresh blood with the Falcons, but at this point, I mean, the Cowboys were everyone's darling in the league. They would have made a whole lot more money next week. I know the bars and the restaurants, everybody else in Houston was counting on half of Dallas showing up.
You know what? I disagree with you there. I mean, everybody says, well, the Super Bowl is ratings proof. Is it? The NFL was supposed to be ratings proof, and their ratings were down 8% this year. So something big is changing. So, I mean, I think to go from the Cowboys to the Falcons is a big drop down. I think it is going to affect the TV numbers. I think Fox is hugely disappointed not to get the Cowboys, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, the parties are out, the dips are out and all that. You talk about the dip in ratings in the NFL. They've just stripped the San Diego Chargers and moved them to a place where they have no fans, and quite frankly, fans don't like them there. They like the Raiders. They've done everything they could do to keep the Raiders out of L.A. Now they've succeeded in that, and the Raiders look like they're going to wind up in Las Vegas. I keep hearing the Raiders talking about playing 2 more years in Oakland. Mike, I've been to Oakland. I know you've been to Oakland too. I don't think there's any way you could play 2 years of lame duck Raiders football in Oakland if the fans there know you're moving to Las Vegas. I don't think that's going to work.
I totally agree with you. I don't think it's what kind of work. The lack of respect and humility that's being shown to sports fans by these franchises, frankly, just it really angers me. You expect these fans who've supported you for 20, 30, 40 years to still support you when you're publicly stabbing them in the back and saying you're going to better deal them in another city? If I was these fans, I'd tell them to go to hell.
Well, the Raiders, I don't know. The California situation's unbelievable, right? I mean, over the weekend, I'm watching the Atlanta Falcons play in a perfectly good dome to be moving next door into a perfectly better dome. The Braves have abandoned downtown now after, 20 years of playing down at Turner Field, and they're moving out to the suburbs. And in California, the people there just aren't buying it, right? I mean, the politics, the citizens really did kind of chase the Chargers out, though, to some degree. So I don't know where the middle is of the culpability. Look, Mike, I was 17 years old when Bob Irsay pointed the Mayflowers out I-70. I guess it's, 32, 33 years later, whatever it's been. It's probably one of the reasons I do what I do for a living, right? I mean, that I've been so intrigued by all of this and sitting here and groveling for an NFL team and then have Art Modell bring us one. We buried David Modell last week. The Ravens own this city, but then I see what's going on in Jacksonville and in Charlotte and in Cleveland and in, Tennessee and Tampa and in other places where, it's a much bumpier ride selling tickets in Miami. Even when they had glory era football down there and Hall of Famers like Dan Marino, it doesn't mean as much as it does in places like Baltimore. Football means something in Oakland. Football means something in San Diego. But I guess it didn't mean enough to have taxpayers reach into their pockets, and instead of paying policemen and firefighters and teachers and doctors and whatever else, and I guess in the case of the Bay Area, tech people, and bringing real business into the area, that, building a Taj Mahal in California, other than the NFL doing it because Stan Kroenke's footing the bill, I would say that's a little bit of a free market system going on there, but it does suck for the fans.
Yeah, the NFL is playing with fire, in my opinion. I think what's happening is some fans are starting to realize that they can live without the NFL, that they can live without watching football games on Sunday afternoon, that they can do all these things, that the NFL is not the do-all and the be-all. Does the NFL want fans to realize that? I mean, I think, they have a good thing going. I think they should be a little bit more respectful of the fans and their feelings and less about, chasing the latest dollar.
Well, it is interesting because if they were to really poll fans, right? Not some stupid internet poll, tell us what we want you to think anyway. But, no one sees more football than me. I'm a PSL holder. I'm a season ticket holder. I get on airplanes every week and run around. I do road trips. We're taking several hundred people over to London in September because the Ravens are playing their first game there. So, I mean, I sort of get it. And then I say to people, well, what's wrong with the NFL? Boy, you'd get a hell of a list, right? I mean, if the owners really were going to, if Goodell was really going to sit in front of 100 real football fans, like real people that are engrossed in all of this, there are all sorts of issues. I mean, NFL Network sucks. Sunday Night Football sucks. The 53-man roster sucks. Yeah. I mean, Thursday Night Football is just... that is all a money grab. All these alternate jerseys and color rushes, it sucks. So all that being said, they don't hear any of it, right? I mean, they literally do, after covering these owners' meetings now for a decade. I'll be out in Phoenix in 8 weeks when they're out there letting the Raiders move to Las Vegas. Like last year, they allowed the Rams to just pick up and go out to L.A. in the middle of the night. It really is. It's a real whore's business, right? I mean, it's like the American economy. It's just driven by this quarter and let's make more money and the product be damned to some degree.
Right. Sports comes down to the owners, and it's one of the hardest lessons for fans to understand. We give our passion and our money and our love and our children to rooting for teams, and we think of them as a public trust, somehow as a city or a civic entity, and they're not. They're some plaything for some rich billionaire who can move them whenever he wants, and that's exactly what they do. As Brooklyn Dodgers fans learned 60 years ago.
Right, yeah. I'm familiar with that. I've heard those stories. Mike McCarthy joining us here from New York. He is M. McCarthy, REV, out on Twitter. Hey, man, it's always great to visit with you. There's always stuff shaking in sports media and sports business, and certainly there'll be plenty of shaking going on next week during the Super Bowl as everybody tries to draw the lines. Before you know it, it'll be spring training, right? I mean, baseball. We both love baseball, so I'll holler back at you in the spring. We'll see how the Yankees are looking up there, okay?
You got it.
Great having you on. Michael McCarthy from Sporting News, their business and media sports insider. Please follow him out on Twitter. He's a great follow. He has tens of thousands of followers as well at M. McCarthy REV. You can find me out in the Bahia Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m., chock full of highlights, stories, standings, box scores, all of our WNST audio content as well. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month to work off the cookies and the eggnog and the ham and all that stuff from 2016. I'm trying to get in, my beach winter condition myself. Last but never least, any breaking news happens first on the WNST Tech Service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford at Security Boulevard. Dennis Colatzos will be here on Thursday driving you home from 3 until 5. We're going to be in Houston all next week at Super Bowl 51. Our London trip is on sale and selling like crazy hotcakes. Probably selling like bangers and mash, I guess, or fish and chips in London, but the trip's on sale. Throw me an email if you need some more information, but it's up on the Road Trips tab at WNST.net. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. I am on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, and streaming live on Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel, as we will be doing next week in Houston as well. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.